This video is brought to you by Robinhood, the investment brokerage app that lets you buy stocks, cryptocurrencies, and ETFs all commission free. You guys probably laughed at me when I said that I own makeup stock, but what you probably didn't know is that this is Kylie Jenner's company. Just look at these gains, up 21% in a single day. I don't know really anything about Kylie Jenner, but if she keeps giving me these type of gains, then that's the homie right there. Click the link in the description below to sign up for Robinhood and get your free stock. Get in on these gains. What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out the chaos side of the new cards that just got revealed coming out of Toon Chaos. If you guys want to learn about the Toon side, I already posted that video. Just go watch it. It will already be up on this channel. Anyways, I don't need much setup for this video because we already did that in the first video. Let's jump into the chaos cards, starting with the Chaos Creator. This is a level 8 Dark Thunder monster, 2300 attack and 3000 defense, so everything is copy pasted from the original Creator, and also Dark Creator from like Phantom Darkness, which is all kind of like the same monster. Cannot be normal summon / set, must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing one light and dark monster from your graveyard. If you control this card that was special summoned from your hand, you can target 3 banished monsters with different names, special summon one of them, then place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order, and this effect is a hard once per turn. You know what, this is kind of interesting. Some people have been talking about Thunder Dragons possibly using this card. I don't want to get off topic, but Konami, please put Colossus back to at least like 1 or something like that. But yeah, this could actually be pretty good in decks that banish. Now, some of the archetypes that banish, you know, like Metaphys, they're not really chaos oriented. However, some of them, like, you know, Thunder Dragons and other just kind of hybrid chaos builds, even like Light Sworn because of the Twilight Swarm, they can definitely use this card. In fact, I don't think that this card is that difficult to summon because it is just kind of summoning any chaos monster or all the good ones, and then it basically just summons a monster from your banish pile. This could even maybe work in some of the other more obscure archetypes, and the monster that you do summon back doesn't actually have to be light or dark as well. The other cards go back to the bottom of your deck. I don't know how relevant that's actually going to be, but honestly, I think that this card is actually pretty cool. It seems a lot easier to use than the original Creator. I know at one point Dark Creator was actually like ridiculous when Phantom Darkness came out. Anyways, we got Chaos Valkyrie. This is a level 4 Light Fairy monster, 1800 attack and 1500 defense. Cannot be normal summon / set. Must be special summoned by a card effect. You can banish one light or dark monster from your graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. If this card is banished, you can send one light or dark monster from your deck to the graveyard. But for the rest of the turn, you cannot activate cards or effects with the same name as that card. And then it says that each effect is a hard once per turn. This card's kind of interesting because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this isn't like a full-on chaosy card. And what I mean by that is it doesn't specifically make you use light or dark or make you use a combination of light and dark like a lot of the traditional chaosy cards do. You can kind of pick and choose, which means you can technically run this in like an all light deck, for instance, Light Sworn. Now, I do like the Foolish Burial effect. However, the fact that the monster can't activate its effect for the rest of the turn does kind of hurt it, because I was thinking use this in Light Sworn, send a wolf from your deck to the graveyard, but unfortunately the wolf won't be able to activate, so it's kind of pointless unless you're like, I don't know, specifically trying to, you know, set up for Illumina or for maybe like a Judgment Dragon play or something like that. But I do think that this card is incredibly easy to summon. It reminds me kind of like the little baby Chaos Dragons, you know, White Dragon, Wyvern Buster, and Color Serpent, those monsters that ended up getting limited. This card feels like it's kind of in that realm. It doesn't tutor for another monster, but the Foolish Burial effect, that feels like it'll eventually, you know, someone will eventually find some good use for that. I think that this is actually a fairly good card. Anyways, on to the next card. This is Chaos Daedalus, and dude, how many times have they made this freaking card? It started back with Umi, and then they revamped it, and my goodness, they just made this card so many times. I think there's a Metaphys Daedalus and all sorts of stuff. Anyways, it's a level 7 Dark Sea Serpent monster. How many Dark Sea Serpents do we have in Yu-Gi-Oh? 2600 attack, 1500 defense, cannot be normal summon slash set, must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing one light and dark monster from your graveyard. See, there you go, that's a real chaos monster. It requires both of them. While a field spell is face up on the field, your opponent cannot target light or dark monsters on the field with card effects. You can target face up cards on the field up to the number of face up field spells on the field, banish them, and this effect is a hard once per turn. Okay, so this card is interesting because I look at it and I think this could be kind of like a BLS type card. It could be kind of that utility monster. You throw it on the field easily enough, and then you're able to, banish a card on your opponent's side of the field for a nice little +1. However, it does require a field spell, and it's not like that's the hardest thing to, do, because there are a lot of prominent field spells in Yu-Gi-Oh! You can technically even use your opponent. You also get targeting protection. However, if you don't have a field spell on field, I really don't think that this card does basically anything. It doesn't get the protection. It doesn't get the banishing effect. Now, if you get a condition where there are 2 field spells on the field, that's just nuts. Now you're being able to banish 2 of your opponent's cards every single turn, and that seems incredibly good. This card is, it's probably like a worse version of BLS, all things considered. Honestly, I look at like the original BLS and I compare it to this, and I think the original BLS is probably better. I know this guy can go after back row and stuff like that, but having to have a field spell on field definitely hurts. Next up is a normal spell called Chaos Space. Send 1 light or dark monster from your hand to the graveyard. That is a cost. Add 1 light or dark monster that cannot be normal summon slash set from your deck to your hand with a level from 4 to 8 with a different attribute than that monster. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 of your banished light or dark monsters that cannot be normal summon slash set. Place that monster at the bottom of your deck, then draw 1 card. And then it says each effect is a hard once per turn. So this is a very situational card in my opinion. I think that, it's kind of like, I think people will have knee-jerk reactions and they'll think of some of the like crazy stuff that you can search with this. Like, Cap G, this means I can search like Dark Arm Dragon, or I can search maybe BLS or Chaos Emperor Dragon, and that's cool, but you really kind of have to, you really got to double down on that, because the graveyard effect where you're getting that +1, which is nice. I always love +1s from the graveyard, especially when I can draw a card from a +1. That graveyard effect is also kind of locked into those Nami type monsters, those monsters that can't be normal summon slash set. Like, you gotta basically, get your Dark Arm back from the banish pile, and you also with the first effect have to like search Dark Arm Dragon. So you're really committing to those type of monsters, these BLSs and Chaos Emperor Dragons, these Dark Arm Dragons. If it just would have been a high level Chaos monster, that would have been kind of nuts. But I mean, I guess there are other things you can use this for. You can use it for like Judgment Dragon. You can use it in certain archetypes that are light and dark based. I'm not exactly sure about this card. I gotta see how this chaos stuff kind of plays out. If it could be used for like Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon, I'd feel a little more confident about this card, but that guy I believe can be normal summoned, so it doesn't technically work with him. Anyways, our last card is Chaos Eternio. I love the artwork of that. So many people, like so many new Yu-Gi-Oh players, you have no idea how incredibly broken like Chaos Sorcerer, how meta defining that card was back in like 2006, the old GX days. I'm like 99% certain he went from 3 to 0 and then he got eventually unbanned. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Eternal Chaos. Oh, I think I read the Italian name. I'm trolling. Target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Send 1 light and dark monster from your deck to the graveyard, whose combined attack is equal or lower to that monster's. Also, for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can only activate 1 monster effect in the graveyard, and this card is a hard once per turn. This is like one of those cards that seems like you can do a lot of cool stuff with it, but then I don't know if it's like actually going to be all that practical, because it is incredibly slow for one, and then it also revolves around like your opponent's monster attack, which also means if your opponent doesn't have a monster face up on the field, you can't even resolve this card. People are going to look at it and they're going to say, oh my goodness, Cap, double Foolish Burial, that's nuts. But it's slow. It also means your opponent has to have a monster. It works on their attacks, and even if you're dumping 2 monsters that activate in the graveyard, you can only activate one of them, and that's for the rest of the turn. So if you have other monster effects that would activate in the graveyard, like ones on field that your opponent kills, you can't use those either because you already used one. I don't know. I don't like this card. My first reaction is I'm not exactly sure. I feel like I don't like it. It feels like it's slow and has too many hoops to jump through, but I'm sure someone will figure out some way to like get use out of it. Anyways, whatever you guys think of the Chaos card, you leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos. Also, go back and watch the Toon video if you didn't watch that, because there's some interesting Toon cards that I covered in that video as well.